Hi, everybody. I'm Brian.
And I'm Joey.
Folks, this is episode 282 of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. If you're new here, this is a podcast where we talk about gravel bikes, adventure biking, bikepacking, bike camping, or just playing bikes. And today, I'm not in the kitchen. And
No,
you're up in your office.
I banned you from my house. Yeah, I should do an office tour. I got a lot of cool stuff in here.
I had a little cold, which I picked up from little kids, and it was probably a wise thing, Joey. I think this thing ran through me real quick, and not in a bad way. I
didn't want you at my house
yesterday
because I'm going on.
I don't blame you.
3 days tomorrow.
Don't blame you at all. 100% agree. 1,000%. I would hate to be the causer of you not being able to get to your thing. So yeah, that's a good thing. And we actually do need to one point, but I don't think we want to do it today. Do an office tour of your little space up there on the third floor.
I got so much cool stuff. That's like a Bosenhagen.
Just slide
painting.
Slide to the side a little bit so we can see just a little bit.
There's your bike. There's my other bikes. That's like my little shelf of I got my Wide Industry salt and pepper shakers, my Chris Cream tamper, I got so many cool little things up there. Some like limited edition bottom brackets from companies and like head badges from. Yeah, and then I actually have books because I do read.
That's cool.
Stuff like that. And that's like part of my frame that cracked up there. And then there's like about 6 bikes over there. And then
I'm trying to peek around the corner. Look at me. I'm an idiot.
It's a big room. I got a whole fly tie-in area. I got multiple desks in here for sewing and that and work. And there's not a lot in here because I'm pretty organized and clean.
Now, to get to your secret upstairs space, you have to go through your bedroom, right?
Isn't
that what you have to get there?
Not that people need to know my house layout or blueprints, but the townhome we're in, it has a whole third floor, which extends the length. It's the third floor of the whole townhome. But there's a staircase in our bedroom, and our master bedroom here is actually decently sized, and there's a staircase in there that goes to the third floor. So you have to go through. The only awkward part, like if we ever set up a table and recorded or did anything in here, it's not awkward. We don't look homeless, but we also don't have a lot of stuff in our house. Our downstairs probably has the most, where in our bedroom there's a dresser, a bed, and 2 nightstands, and it was like a stretch to put nightstands in there.
Well, I would offer to just do it blindfolded, but there's absolutely positively no way you're getting me into your bedroom blindfolded. That's just not happening. It's not happening. Okay,
it's cool.
Let's talk about
bikes.
Let's talk about bikes.
I don't want to talk about bikes. This is our podcast.
It is kind of talking about it. We talk about everything we want. I've got 3 things. Do you have anything before we start? Sound like you had something you wanted to say?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, you wanted to mention a new bike, but there's multiple new bikes, and I think we didn't talk about this before, but when we talk about a new bike section, I'll chime in. But
and we were talking about this pre-show because the Salsa Flyway is out, and it seems to be on everybody's.
That's what I'm mad at you for. So I was saving my hate.
And so I kind of brought that up, and then you pointed out several other new bikes.
I don't even know what the Salsa Flyway is. The news is the new Rodeo Labs Flammable Steel 6.0 got debuted yesterday, and you skipped right over Steven and Rodeo Labs. So I figured I would wait and say that on here because I don't know what the Salsa is. I'll be honest with you.
It's a replacement for the Warbird.
I knew about that, but didn't that get released like a month ago at Mid-South?
It was at Mid-South, but it's still, that's what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, so but as of last night and yesterday, Rodeo.
Well, we weren't going to talk about new bikes, but now all we're doing is talking about new bikes. And Kona has something new.
Kona has the Unity, which looks cool. And let's just do a whole episode next week.
Yeah, let's do that.
I will say the one thing Rodeo leaked that they are experimenting with another brand that does aluminum as they're down the Project. What do they call that Project X thing? Project Denver. They're trying to do this made in the U.S. aluminum, possibly aluminum or affordable made in the U.S. steel. I'm really butchering it right now because I'm scattered. I got a work trip I'm packing for, but yeah, new Flammable, and it does come in rust. If you wanted to.
Well, they've perfected the method of actually just leaving a steel bike bare. So there's a whole bunch of new bike stuff going on, and we'll sit on all of that and we'll talk about it next week. Or some week in the future. Who knows what we're going to talk about? But what I really want to talk about, there's two other things I really want to talk about. The first one is Mon Forest. You cannot be on the socials right now. They're doing a fantastic bang-up job with bikepacking routes. I think even bikepacking.com has some information on the Mon Forest Bikepacking Project. David Landis is involved. Travis is involved. A whole bunch of folks are involved in this. And you literally cannot be on any social space if you've ever touched a bike and not see this. They're doing just a fantastic bang up job on the promotion of this. And I wouldn't have expected anything less.
Speaking of, Surly released a new bike yesterday too, or this week on the socials.
Yep.
No,
I looked at that.
bikepacking.com.
I wasn't crazy about that, but okay. So what is Mon Forest Bikepacking Project? It's more than a route. It's I guess you would call it more of like a tiered system. They have the Mon Forest 500, but you also have these smaller regional loops that kind of drop off of it. So there's so many different ways you can do so many different configurations with it. Really, really cool way to lay things out. I know that when we did Grayson that David Landis was involved with, it's a traverse. This one is full of loops and just a great way to start and stop. You always have that challenge when you have a traverse. Like Grayson Gravel was a traverse where you're going from one end to the other, and then you got to figure out the logistics to get back. I'm a huge fan of loops. It's a collaborative effort. The Mon Forest Towns Partnership, that is a nonprofit that supports 12 different communities, all in West Virginia. And I want to list the towns that are involved with this project as we move through discussing it. Are you pulling all of this stuff up on your screens now, Joey?
It's on.
Yeah.
Bikepacking Routes. Multiple monitors.
That's the best place to go, I think, for it is bikepackingroutes.org. But I tried to get there earlier today, and I'm guessing that so many people want to find out information about this that their website was hiccuping, and I was getting some bad gateway things. So
it's working, but all I see is the Mon Forest Bikepacking Summit on here so far.
They've got a whole page that's dedicated to the project. It is, if you go to bikepacking routes .org/project/mon-forest-bikepacking. They have a whole page.
I click on your show notes, it takes me to Google.
Okay, well, it's probably because that show note just came from Google. But while you're pulling that out, I want to give folks a big picture view of all of the people that are involved. And this is just not a small endeavor. You've got Bikepacking Routes, which we've been talking about. That is a national nonprofit that does route development, community outreach, all sorts of great and fantastic things for bikepacking community. You've got Village to Village V2V Trails. That's David Landis. He's well known for obviously Trans Virginia, but also Grayson Gravel. He spearheaded the route design, the mapping, and the documentation. And mountain rides. Travis also got involved as a regional partner that helped kind of shape the network.
Who's that?
Travis Olson.
He's a stranger. We have to have him on here.
I talk to Travis a lot.
Travis.
I
got to break up your little spiels. So who's Travis?
Ride with GPS also got involved. And then there's also some folks that brought some federal grant money to the table as well. So a lot of people putting a lot of brain power, a lot of very smart people putting a lot of brain power into a route system that is based in West Virginia. And if you know, West Virginia is got a tremendous volume of fantastic and beautiful roads, rough roads to ride bikes on. It's chunky gravel. We're not talking about a lot of rail trail here. We're talking about some serious elevation on these routes. We're talking about some rough road conditions. We're talking about something that's fantastic. And when I was putting together the show notes for this, I don't know, Joey, if you followed the whole thing last week. We had a lot of stuff on the Discord, on GTD After Hours, the Discord, where Dave Pryor brought in some link to an article that Velo did about comparing East Coast gravel to Midwest gravel and the size of the events. They seem to focus solely on the size of the events, which is just, in my opinion,
so much.
It's a horrible, horrible metric to use. I would much rather have a multitude of smaller events that are more intimate, that folks can get to know each other and see people and actually really talk with people, versus one giant event. They're just two completely, totally different things. And
there's a home for both.
Yeah. But this right here, with what Bikepacking Routes did and what Dave is doing with Gravel Fest, and what Dave is even to the extent doing. We're going to talk a little bit about Grinduro, what he's doing with
Pennsylvania's doing, and Dave.
Yeah. What I'm talking specifically East Coast, and that really comes into, I think the heavy hitters are West Virginia and Pennsylvania, pretty obviously. I'd rather have this at my fingertips than one massive race.
What do you do?
And there's lots of like conversations about the way they did Mid-South with splitting things up. They had the pro riders go a day before, and there was a lot of like, I still don't know how I feel about that. I like the idea. I personally would never get to see the finish of a pro race unless I didn't ride the event. So there's that kind of thing.
I rode and bailed, so I did get to see the finish.
That's different. That's different. But then there's also a certain kind of gitch that comes along with, being able to start with on the same course at the same day at the same time with pros. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I don't know which one. I think they both have their place. But I thought that article was really, really, I don't want to say poorly executed, but they just simply, like I said earlier, they used the wrong metric. The metric they used was about the size of the riders at the starting gate versus the quality of the event versus the volume of them. Honestly, East Coast, I think we've got a whole lot more offerings, and then you roll in this whole extra discipline of bikepacking, and I don't see anything like this in the Midwest. I don't see where that's the thing. I mean, now, yeah, you get out west, and obviously that's sort of like where their roots lie. Lots of gateway towns that are participating in this project, and if you think about how the Gap evolved in the Gap towns. You've got the Great Allegheny Passage and all of the towns that live along the Gap. You've got this same sort of concept or this idea. It's got 12 what they're calling Mon Forest towns that serve as the hubs for the resupply, the lodging, all the things. You got. I'm going to give them specifics by name: Elkins, Parsons, Thomas, and Davis, which are right next to each other. And I've been to most of these places: Durbin, Marlinton, Richwood, Cowan, Petersburg, Franklin, Seneca Rocks, and White Sulphur Springs. Now, I've been to Elkins, I've been to Thomas, I've been to Davis, I've been to Durbin, I've been to Marlinton, Seneca Rocks, and probably skirted some of the others, but I'm just not as familiar with the names. So that's fantastic that this number of entities and towns have come together to, make something like this happen. It's going to be a big economic driver, I believe. I think, you look at why Grayson did it. And if you talk to any of the folks down there, Grayson County down in Southwest Virginia, this has been a tremendous thing. Now, like I said earlier, it's West Virginia chunk where there is there's a little smooth rail trail kind of gravel. I'm guessing if they've got some parts of Greenbrier rolled in, but not much. Going to have some elevation profiles. You've got the Bikepacking Routes site on your screen there, Joey. What are the elevation profiles? What do the elevation profiles look like? If you were to take, like, I don't really want to look at the whole 500 because I think I'm personally more interested in those things that are what would be considered like a weekend adventure or a 3 or 4 day kind of adventure. And you can hear my cold coming back, can't you? Aren't you glad you're not here and that I'm not there? Wow, that would have been.
I'm looking, so on the website, when you hover over the ride with GPS bits, like the Mon Circuit 600, I clicked because that's the closest to us. That's only like a 4-hour drive, 3-hour something drive. 594, is this the whole thing? 5,400 feet of climbing, 54,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah, 54, that sounds about right.
The Elkins Middle Mountain Mower, 159 miles is 14,889. Then we go west to the Beverly Helvetia, the crazy Switzerland place.
Huh?
That's
I want to go there so bad.
I know, that's a 94-mile loop off of this with 10,300 feet. And then we get to the big, what is this one? No, wait. The Mon Circuit 440, 441 miles at 36,000 feet. And that's the one that's going to give you a huge north to south route. That's the big one as far as the loop. And then if you want to tackle something smaller, the Durban, Laurel, and Spruce, 84 miles, 6,948 feet. That one's around Spruce Knob.
Okay.
And then there's so many of these like sub things broken down, which is cool.
You've got to go, and I'll put a link in the show notes. It's bikepackingroutes.org/project/Mon Forest Bikepacking.
You know, we should have done a little better planning. I know Emily, who now works for Bikepacking Routes, and we should have had her on.
Would have been about that.
Maybe in the next month or so, we'll have her talk about the whole thing too in depth.
Yeah. Let's do that at some point. And we could have David back. There's just so many people. But the key is that there's just so many loops that here's 84 miles with 7,000 feet of elevation. You divide that up into 2 or 3 days to just really relax and enjoy yourself. Here's another, the Helvetia. That's 94 miles, 10,000 feet of elevation. Very easy to divide that up into a couple of days. I don't even know how to pronounce this. The 8.6 Durban Gardeniers watch.
Yeah.
It's and what Bikepacking Routes does is it breaks it all down by the big overview, the highlights. When is probably one of the most important things to think about is when to ride the routes. Depending upon, here's one that looks really cool.
In what bike?
This is in Davis. Yeah, Davis, the Bickle Blackwater. Starts in Davis and goes through Canaan Valley. That's 85 miles and 7,200 feet. You get the idea here, folks. There are routes on routes on routes on routes. And if you are creative, you could very easily sort of go in here and say, you know what, I want to do this part of that route, add in this other part of another route. You could really have an endless number of routes that spin off and around and all over the place through this system. It's just such a fantastic job with it. But like we said earlier, it is West Virginia chunk. It is not smooth rail trail. You've got to look at your elevation profiles. You've got landscapes that you've got to consider as well, like dolly sods. You've got to consider some of the like you said, the weather, when to do it. Places like Canaan Valley can get snow in June. So, and it can be completely a different challenge. So, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about digging into it, and I'm excited about what they've done. They've just done such a tremendous job of laying that whole route network out, and I've only scratched the surface of it. And it's really, really cool, really very well done. And now let's talk about, bike choices. You've got to think about that as well. We know.
Yeah, because I'm going through, there's different bikes in each. There's different types of bikes and photos.
You've got to have something that's got probably a little bit more meat on the tires. I would think would be a wise decision on some of these things. I really do believe for each one of these different routes, you've got to think about the different bike. Something that's got a little bit more tire. I don't know. You would probably be looking at. I did really want to pull the trigger on that when you guys had that one in the shop.
Well, that was the Unit X. The Unity is the new one they just dropped.
Oh, we're not talking about new bikes yet. Not talking about new bikes.
That looks
we're
like
not allowed.
It's our podcast. I don't do what I want. I'll hang up.
That's right. I'm not in the same room with you. You could literally just say, "I'm out," and Joey would be gone. Thinking about the bikes. What would be
bike style and tire recommendations?
They actually, I'm sure. Do they break it down by route for that, or is that pretty much
introduction and planning drop downs? Gravel riding, blah blah blah. Tires 40 to 50 millimeters recommended. Tubeless reinforced. Slow gearing is helpful for a gravel bike. A hardtail is recommended. Ideal routes with regular surface. Provides tubeless 2-inch tires, mountain bike gearing, and strong brakes.
Yeah.
Many riders prefer wide tire gravel bikes or lightweight mountain bikes for the region's steep grades and variable road conditions. So
don't be like Larry and use your shoe as a brake.
Well, I've seen that.
That's what Larry had to do on Trans. That's Trans Virginia too. But this is Larry's
Larry should
backyard.
use Larry as a break.
Yeah, this is Larry's backyard too. We could go up and probably start a couple of these routes like right in Larry's like front yard of his house. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Man, even the drop down has the windows of riding. I didn't realize that there was a bunch of drop downs in here.
Yeah, when to ride, what's good for spring, what's good for summer, what you should expect in the different styles.
Public versus private camping.
And now the biggest gotcha is going to be water. A lot of these routes are probably not going to have access to water. There's probably going to be a lot of water in the area, but you got to now think about, this is real bikepacking, folks. You got to think about water filters. You got to think about how you're going to handle that. You're going to talk about carrying food. You're going to be carrying a lot of water versus filtering water. There's a lot of considerations to think about when you were wanting to approach something of this nature, which is why I have just signed up to attend, and I would invite all of our friends to consider this as well, the Mon Forest Bikepacking Summit, which is May 29th to June 1st. It's in Marlinton. It is put on by bikepackingroutes.com, or excuse me, bikepackingroutes.org. Always got to get that correct. So it's basically just a lot of fun events and things that are happening. You've got roll-in and social rides. You've got speakers. You've got workshops. You've got group rides. You've got an overnight bikepacking option for all different experience levels. Sunday rides for those that can't join for the overnight, because it goes from Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday if you're doing the bikepacking overnight Sunday, Monday, which I have signed up for all of the above. I'm going to do all of the things. I'm going to clone myself so I can do multiple things at one time. Pretty cool. And I would actually encourage everybody to take a look at that. I can't find you again, Joey. There you are. I couldn't find you again. Yeah, I was looking for the screen. I got too many screens.
You're looking across the table.
So this is a little weird. I feel like we're doing okay. It's a little disjointed, knowing who wants to talk and who, So anyway. We got to get used to it, because you're getting ready to announce your big move down under. You're moving to Australia, right? Did I spill beans on that? Or New Zealand? You're not even paying attention to me.
I'm not, because I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nobody does. So anyway, that is Mon Forest. Mon, if you don't know, is Monongahela, and tremendous amount of stuff there to discover and take a look at and pick apart and plan an adventure. Yeah. Plan an adventure. And if you want that little entry that's a little safer, that Mon Forest Bikepacking Summit, be a pretty good place to start.
How long is that?
Great place to start.
3 days, 4 days, 7?
3 days or 4 days, depending upon whether or not you go on the bikepacking overnight, which is Sunday into Monday. So it starts on Friday. They have all sorts of things that are planned throughout the day, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. And then I believe you have the option of doing just a ride on Sunday, or you can do an overnight bikepacking adventure in the part of Sunday as well. So, yeah. And that's what I'm doing. I signed up to do all the things. I want to do all the things. And is that Memorial Day weekend?
No, it's the weekend after. I just found the event page.
Okay. Yeah, because Monday is the first weekend before.
23rd, 24th, 25th, I believe.
Yeah, because it's the last Monday, because that in May this year, the 31st is a Sunday and June 1st is the Monday. So Memorial Day would be the previous Monday. So we'll have a long summer this year. That's the way that works. Another thing that's happening up in Pennsylvania, let's switch gears from West Virginia to Pennsylvania. Grinduro, Pennsylvania. Dave's bringing that back. You've done Grinduro before, though, right, Joey?
I've ridden Grinduro, and I've helped assist and work Grinduro.
Yeah.
And I loved it both times.
Give us the vibe. Give us the vibe of Grinduro.
Man, it is. I was trying to explain this to someone the other day who actually, it's like, how have you never heard of Grinduro and been in the bike side of things? Grinduro is a multi-day, fun, multi-surface party with bikes.
A rolling party.
Party. The format that has been, and the California one is kind of put it on the map for everyone that's on YouTube and sees it. There's no one best bike when you go there. It's pretty chill and relaxed. It's segment racing if you want to participate in that. And I don't want to speak out of turn and say this wrong on a podcast that goes out to like 6 people, but I want to say Grinduro kind of put segment racing on the map early, in the early days of that, which was great because for all the reasons we've heard Dave talk about it with Unpaved, you can chill with friends, hit the segment, do your own pace. And when you're done, there's usually something, like everyone's meeting up after the segment's over, and hanging out and then right into the next one.
They're not throwing an aid station in the middle of a segment,
correct,
i.e. the entire race, so you don't feel like you can stop and enjoy it or recover.
Yeah. So the format last 3 years up in Pennsylvania, not last year, but before, was you rolled in on Friday. There was activities going on. It was pretty relaxed. It's been by a creek or a river the last handful of times up there. Not that matters. I just thought it was cool. But it was pretty chill. Everyone's setting up camp. There's stuff going on. There was a shakeout ride on Fridays where folks would go out and there was a night ride a couple years ago where like Gordon and Casey Clark went up to a nice vista and watched the stars. They all came back. We had some s'mores. And then, people were just hanging out and chilling. It wasn't like overly done party-wise. It was tame. And I would say it's family-friendly. And then Saturday, it wasn't like a super early start. Everyone just kind of left together, and there was usually 2 distances. People do the ride. It's well supported. You go up and do your segments. Now, the nice thing about when I did it, and then when I supported it, is, like I said, there's no one best bike. There was definitely questionable single track. The mountain bike definitely had an advantage on one section, and the gravel bike would have it on the next. But they all had ride-arounds, which was cool if you wanted. I definitely worked, and we have an episode about this, like the most carnage I saw from being a supporting an event, of that, was pretty cool though, and everyone was so happy and fun to be around. And then when you finish up, it's just a big party when you come back. There's a band playing. Man, there was a guy playing a mouth bow. I think it's called a mouth bow a few years ago. Like a bluegrass guy.
That's one of those little doing, doing things.
Cool. And that kind of just goes throughout the night, and people are hanging out around camp. It's one of those nice things where no one's leaving, really. Like you're coming up for the weekend. And so the vibes are there.
Love that. Yeah.
There was, people hopping in the creeks. There was shower stations. The one at 2 years ago that I worked, it was at because it was outside of Williamsport by a little bit. It was at a, what is that called?
Williamsport is, Little League World Series. Nice. Because it has moved. Let me give you real quick. It's moving to Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, which is they're using Sproul State Forest, known as the Pennsylvania Wilds.
Yep.
Very rugged, very remote.
Yep.
Bring your Garmin in reach, I guess. Is what
it's cool, and I think right after that's when I got my InReach a couple years ago. But yeah, even Sunday morning, there was a shakeout ride. There was yoga, I think. People were hanging out. Carl from Alabaster was supporting it, and Jake from Indo. So you didn't have to worry about waiting for coffee. Everything was good. There was a food truck. I actually had the story about I literally had the last I gave away the last meal from the food truck. I didn't eat that night, but I bought a T-shirt which I still wear. But no, it's very well done, very well supported. It had some big sponsors behind it, which was cool. But it was just a fun vibe. And like I said, you're not going to have the right bike if it's a similar format. You're going to question your bike choice at times, and you'll be like, oh, I brought the right bike. Then you say, I didn't bring the right bike. And it's maybe a lightweight hardtail would be the best bike. Maybe an Otso Warrican on 50s would be the best bike. Maybe you need suspension. Maybe you don't. So it keeps everyone in check. And it's really cool. And I have Grinduro posters. Over there.
I like this. What we just talked about. Little rougher, We talk about Mon Forest. That's you're going to need a sturdier bike. I think you're also looking at sturdier bikes. This is not an event that you want to bring your cross bike to, or
I
your
was going to say, without
you
getting
know
too political on here, roadies need not apply.
cool. You just got political, buddy. No, no, it's
Which was
I think what you're talking about is good advice, actually.
yeah, and it might be type 2 fun at times for you just be from the segments. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's kind of a reality check, but you can ride around the next section if you want, or if that's your thing, and some people like fuel themselves up on that, do it.
Well, there's also the impact of what Grinduro is doing too. I think the benefits on this, the proceeds are going to benefit Pickle, which is near and dear, I think, to your heart. The Pennsylvania Interscholastic Cycling League, at least that's what my notes say. So, they say that. I believe that to be true. I don't think they'd put it in there if it weren't true. So that's exciting. That local community connection. So you can register for that. The registration is live now. It's on Bike Reg. Some sponsors. Let's see, New Trail, which is a staple across Pennsylvania. Very, very devoted to the cycling community. So support them. Of course, Nittany Mountain Works, Freeze Thaw Cycles. I'm sure there are more. Those are the ones that just jumped out at me. I'm sure there's a lot more. And folks can maybe chime in on that if they've got that. What is I've got in my notes too, the book lodging early, but is this a camping thing? Is it all sort of inclusive, or any ideas, or what's it been in the past, Joey?
Well, I think Dave's taken, and that's why I talked, and I didn't want to speak for Dave, and then we'll have Dave on again on the Grinduro thing, I bet. Where I think he's kind of doing this more of a one-day format, with options for folks to stay in places.
Okay.
So multiple things happen there. It's a little less stressful for Dave, as an event promoter and director. Keeps the prices down a little bit. It helps with the venue. I don't know where the venue is exactly. Like, I'm talking a lot without knowing.
Yeah,
But you can be a little bit more open to venues by not having to worry about where you're going to put a few hundred people in tents and permits and stuff like that. But,
yeah,
when you do sign up, you get breakfast, you get the aid station with all the fuel, alcohol after if you choose from, like you said, New Trail and non-alcoholics drinks. There's a DJ, an expo and hand built. I don't know if that's Bina, and because there's been a Philly Bike Expo presence the last few, which is cool. There's always good swag. So I should have done a little more research, but this is how I do life.
Well, I want to be fair to everybody. We had a strange week this week,
Yes.
with me getting sick, and we were almost to the point where we were just going to punt a week and kind of just say, hey, life gets in the way. But then I began to feel better, and so we're kind of
You texted me an hour and a half before this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be fair with the listeners and be fair with you as well. We're kind of like, not necessarily flying by the seat of our pants, because these are things that are very heavy right now. And you're seeing them everywhere. You're hearing people talk about Mon Forest. You're hearing people talk about Grinduro and what Dave's doing up in July in Pennsylvania. So
Here we go.
these are things people need to know about.
Yeah, and I'm prepping for a 3-day work trip to Cape in West Virginia. It's a big kickoff for us. So my mind's been all over, and I got to pack it and do laundry. And camping will be available at the venue.
Okay, there you go.
Dina Fire Company picnic campgrounds for just $10 a person, which is really hard to beat.
You can't beat that at all.
I mean, camping's our thing, and that's what I loved about it in the last couple times. Me and Jack, the first year, me and Jack rode it together. We camped. Obviously, I camped a few years ago, but it just makes the weekend. And there's always people around you, so it's the way to go. Make a weekend of it.
That's right. That's the way to do it. It's the $150 model. It's the Gravel Fest model.
It's our model for Mickle.
Let's make gravel social again.
Yeah, man. I look at, like I said, even for work and these mountain bike events I put on. It's like we have a big camping culture that kind of is like our Croatan like that vibe, and that makes
Yeah.
or breaks a weekend for people. And
Yeah.
whether it's you don't want to spend thousands of dollars a year on hotels or whatnot, there's just something special about it. And
Yeah.
so, and it's not for everyone, but
You make a lot of friends doing that.
yeah.
You get to know a lot of people doing that. And I could, there's so many folks that from Croatan that, we only see them once a year,
Yeah.
but you still call them friend. You still call them friend, and you still get to see them that time. And it's almost like you don't even miss a beat because you've got this common thing that you've got this conversation thread that you have with them, no matter how often you see them. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. So we are not going to talk about bikes, even though, Joey, I know you're chomping at the bit.
No, what I want to do, because we haven't rehearsed any of this, is I want to.
Do we rehearse? Do you rehearse in the mirror? I don't rehearse.
No. I would love to have Steven on in the next month, Fitzgerald, the intern, to talk about the new rodeo. I think the salsa is cool, the Kona is cool, but and all that. All three companies are right up our alley. It's not like the new Checkout and new Crux, which is cool, but like that's our vibe. So I think it'd be cool to try to nab someone to talk about some of these bikes. I don't have any Kona connections anymore because everyone left.
I've been watching a lot of videos, like thinking about the ATB kind of market, the all-terrain bike. The kind of, it's not a gravel bike, it's not a mountain bike, it's its own little.
Should have got the Kona Unit X.
Its own little weird breed of load this sucker up and go have a fun weekend and go have a few days of a good time. So, but I think having Steven would be a fantastic idea. I'd love to get him back. He's always
he's done a lot of ultras and stuff since our last. Like he's done a ton, and he's been prototyping, and he's always like,
yeah.
And I'll keep singing my rodeo praise and how that company is run and the ethos behind it and what Steven believes in, and he's testing his own stuff. No one's doing that. You'll find that with a handful of companies like Hot. That's why I supported them with Jess. Wilson and Steven are doing the same thing, and that's like a 0.5% of the bike industry, and that's what matters nowadays.
100%.
But speaking of which, though, real quick, Grant, who did the paint job for Jess's bike, and he had the beautiful Hot that won like second at Philly Bike Expo paint job. He just painted a hot dog, which is their hardtail. Almost looks like a rainbow trout or a trout themed. It's gorgeous. It's on his story right now, and I'm waiting for him to post it. But whoever he did it for bought a Envy rigid fork, and it's painted to match. So that'll be probably one of the coolest rigid ATBs, whatever you want to call it, that I've seen in a long time. And that's
cool.
I'm sure he'll post it, but it's on his story today. So Grant Fanning. Grant's been on here with No Tourist magazine and stuff. So that's a ATB coming out of Richmond.
I'm so glad that you remember all this, because I sometimes lose track of who we've had on before.
I can remember that, but I cannot remember daily stuff. Like I burnt turkey in the oven the other day, just as like apple crisp thing, because I didn't set a timer. Like ADHD is a weird thing.
Okay, this is a short episode, folks, and maybe you actually will enjoy that. I don't know, but I even shortened up the this or that's. I've only got 3 of them this week. Do you want to jump to this or that's, Joey?
Yeah.
Would you rather climb a 5-mile forest road or a 1-mile technical hike-a-bike straight through the mountain laurel?
Let me read this one.
So a long 5-mile forest grade road. So you're talking about like a long 5-mile, like 5%, or just a 1-mile technical hike-a-bike on and off the bike that goes like straight through the mountain laurel.
If it's just like regular forest grade, I'd probably do the 5-mile.
Yeah, me too. Now I got shoes I can walk in, so maybe there's that. I'm excited about that. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. We've done so many times where it's like the short, ugly climb or the long climb, but this just brought a little new, subtle nuance to it. Would you rather filter water from a pristine mountain stream? Actually, let's just make that filter water from any style. Don't want to make it pristine. Any style mountain stream, or carry 4 liters from a gas station.
Oh, How would you not pick filtering in general, but a pristine mountain stream?
Yeah, that makes it a little easy. That's kind of simple. I'd much rather filter water than
It carries 4 liters. That's
4 liters of water. That's a lot of water to carry. That is a lot of water
like
to carry.
like a liter of cola is one thing for
Yeah.
everyone that likes that reference, but 4, that's a lot of
Yeah,
water.
that's a lot of water. Ride the full 500-mile loop on Mon Forest in one shot, or do 3 separate weekends, sort of like get her done in sections kind of an approach.
Ooh, that's a good question because that's the one I'm torn on. Like, I was looking at it, and while it's totally out of range for what I can physically do right now, I think it'd be fun to just disconnect and go for it.
It'd take a while,
It-
and you've got all the time in the
wow,
world.
man, I would take that and I would do like 10 plus days, like maybe 2 weeks to do that.
Yeah.
At least. But I'd rather do 2 weeks of that than try to do a cross country in a month and a half or something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or
100%
try to
agree
do the
with that.
divide. Like, there's so many different things I wouldn't want to do, but I would try that.
There's
Maybe not
something.
after I heard Larry's Trans-Virginia stories of like that really long, was that 600 miles? But and I'm nowhere near Larry in any
I think
sense.
it took him 11 or 12 days.
Yeah, so maybe triple that for me.
He set out to do it in 9. We've still got to have Larry on here to talk about
Maybe I'll
that.
do it on one of those state clunkers.
I think it's an interesting idea to do something like that, because a lot of folks do the Appalachian Trail when they hike it, or you do a Trans-America on a bike. You do it in sections. And so at some point in time, you'll say, well, I've seen it all and I've done it all. But there is something that's kind of got an allure about, like you said, doing that deep dive into it and kind of walking away from it. You see it all in one time, and you also see it. Your how you see things as you move through life changes over time. And if you were to do something like that and spread it out over a 3 or 4 year window, that complete experience is going to be different than if you piece it together. So does that make sense? Does that make any sense what I'm saying right there? I don't know if it does or doesn't. But
Sure.
I think it changes your mindset, and it changes how you view things and what's going on in the world around you. Because I think right now, to set off and try to forget about everything for 2 or 3 weeks would be much more valuable than when times are different. And we're not going to get any kind of political stuff here, but it's a different mindset that you can take to something like that, and it probably has a different outcome. We got very deep and philosophical with that. I apologize.
So I was going to go even deeper. I mean, it's like you never know when you're going to go, man. So just do what you want when you want it.
That is absolutely 100%. I hadn't even thought about that side of it. Would be sucked to set out to do the whole thing, and I'm going to do it over, yeah, and then you don't get to finish it. But you wouldn't know. So
Yeah, maybe.
at the end of the day, what's it matter?
No one knows what's next.
No one knows. Okay, so what's going on over on Discord? I want to try to get a little section every week where we can talk about what's happening on Discord. What a fantastic launch we've had to that. It is I'm going to give you props, because this was your brainchild in a lot of ways, and you have said it from the very beginning that this will work. This is something that people are looking for, and it will work. If you're not plugged in yet to GTD After Hours, it's our Discord server where you can come in and talk about anything you really want. It's a vetted community of like-minded people that all have different worldviews, and we all bring a different regional flair to what we're doing. You've got folks that are deep in the heart of Pennsylvania. You got folks down in North Carolina. You've got all sorts of different folks talking about bikepacking and gravel races and events. And we've actually got our first meetup already scheduled. I am so excited about that. It's the first weekend in May. If you want to know more about that, you're going to have to go to the GTD After Hours Discord server, because why would you not? It's free for the first 30 days. You can jump in and see if it's for you. If it is, great. If it's not, hey, that's fine too.
It's only going to get better with more people and more contributions to all these sections. Like, it's fun. It's a nice disconnect from the socials, even though it's a social. It's not a social platform, but it is.
It is and it isn't. I like the idea of the fact that it is vetted. It's a community of people that are centered, and not to sound like it's something that we've started this. It's centered around the podcast, and it's folks that enjoy this kind of interaction and this kind of chatter, and I think that's great. I think it's great. When we started this so many years ago, we had no idea where it was going to go, what we were going to end up with it, and we always said that, and we still say it to this day. We do it because it's fun and we enjoy doing it, and I have met so many people because of this podcast, and I'm grateful for every single one of those interactions, grateful for every single one of those friends, folks that I never would have encountered. You may have in the circles that you move in, but I never would have encountered so many of these people. So I count myself very, very lucky that this was Wes's idea. And thank you, Wes.
In case it goes south.
Exactly. We've got somebody to blame. If it all goes south, all the bills go to Wes. Everybody knows that, right? That would be fantastic. We should start sending him
invoice him.
No, then he'll start asking for royalties or something. Well, that
There's
actually
no we don't make any money.
that would equate into him owing us money. So go on over there. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. You can just go to the website. I've had a couple people ask how they find the Discord server. Just go to the homepage of the website, graveltraveldirt.com. Big bright button, big graphics right there on the homepage. Very easy for you to find us over there and join us and give it a shot. We'd love to say hello. We'd love to say
hi. There's some good introductions. And I said, the more folks, the more it builds up. It's just a lot of fun.
And like Joey said, I apologize a little bit for somewhat of a rambling episode, but we felt it was more important to stay connected with y'all and to give you some of this news than it would be to skip a week. So feels like it was a little disjointed. Apologies, but it is what it is. And it is the first time that we've not been in the same room in a very long time. We've done this before. Yeah, COVID, we would have done this.
Probably the last time we did video like this, I think.
Yeah. So it's been a very, very long time.
I love it.
And it was kind of like, oh, you don't want me there?
And blowing up my bathroom and everything, and now it's clean. Just kidding. Blake misses you. Blake's actually he has free reign of the house nowadays, and he's laying in bed down in the second floor.
Nice.
So,
all right, you want to shut this thing down, Joey?
Yeah, and then I'm going to go pack.
Let you get back to packing.
We are at graveltraveldirt.com, and our socials is, if it's still active, is at Mid-Atlantic GTD on the Instagram. But then I think there's links everywhere that I don't know about for getting to the fun Discord channel with everyone.
Now, I just want to remind people that Gravel Travel Dirt, it's a tradition unlike any other that you're ever going to find. You didn't even give me props.
Hold on, let me get the music going in the background.
Joey has been dying for me. I started playing a couple of weeks ago with a little gravel version of the Masters logo, which quite frankly, their logo is really, really piss poor. The country doesn't look right. The proportions are all wrong. The font is horrible. Yes, a tradition unlike any other. Come with us at the Gravel Masters here in West Virginia, wild, wonderful West Virginia.
I never, thinking about that, I never did a suit or anything for Croatan, and that was like a bet. But I don't know. There's something, and maybe because I grew up with golf. But man, the Masters is like, and of course we have our retreat where I'm in West Virginia without I'll have a little service and we'll be in a cabin, but
just record it. Just record it. I will say that there is.
Although I will say,
you've got a golf background. You are a golfer.
Golf clubs over here too.
I am not a golfer. I used to swing a club in high school and sometimes in college, but I am not a golfer. It's never been my jam. You were I think a recruited golfer in high school, right? Weren't you gonna
yes.
You were a big golfer in high school. And there's always something special about the Masters.
I blew my knee out my senior year, so I never did it in college.
You begin seeing those commercials during basketball and during we watch some NASCAR. You begin to see those commercials for the Masters, and it's almost like that first itch for spring comes when you start hearing that music and you see those commercials on television. So there's something pretty special about the Masters, and it is a lot like NASCAR where their premier event is early in the season. You've got the Daytona 500 that kicks things off, and you've got the Masters that's early in the season as well. So
it
it's
kicks
like
off the majors.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of cool that way.
I think everyone should know the background. There's kind of like, if you really dig, there's something like, there's stuff you don't want to read about it. So I'm kind of mixed a little bit, but
there's like that, though.
Yeah, but it is the only major that is played at the same course every year. It's, as they say, it's deep with tradition, deep with history. It's cool. They don't allow cell phones there. Like, people are living in the moment. They're not recording and they're not doing all this other stuff. The food is cheap. There's a whole bunch of YouTube stuff about, like,
bologna
the trash is
right?
green. Everything is cheap. There's the pimento sandwiches. There's the drinks. It's just gorgeous. And it's just the one thing that kind of, spring's here. It's Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah.
A lot of times Paris-Roubaix and Sunday of the Masters always lined up, which are is the ultimate Sunday for Joey in sports. But no, it's cool. It starts today, and it goes and goes and goes. So I have been rewatching the 2019 Masters, and this is kind of a bummer, and then we will shut this thing down. I grew up, my two sports idols were Tiger Woods and Ken Griffey Jr. Tiger went through the little bit of rockiness when I think I was in college with, but he came back and he won the 2019 Masters, which was great. And he wasn't at they have a special dinner, I think Tuesday night. The winner the year before gets to pick the dinner and he has to pay for it and all, but they have it at Augusta. And Tiger wasn't there this year for certain reason.
Why wasn't he there?
He was preoccupied. He's
doing something else,
playing ET or something. So
he's one of the last ones to win it back to back, right? I think.
Did he win 03, 04, 01, 02? He's won it 4 or 5 times.
I know, but only a handful of people have won it back to back, and I think he's won, and he may be the last one to have won it.
So I'm a little rusty
on.
I used to have a ridiculous thing of golf knowledge. But anyway, I'm gonna go pack. Play with the dog.
Thanks, everybody for tuning in. Mid-Atlantic Gravel Travel in Dirt is recorded this week from, all over, through the ether. Thanks for Man, I started coughing, and it's got me.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Mid-Atlantic Gravel Travel in Dirt. Until next time, do good, be nice, go slow, respect others.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.